the last session of this conference. I'm very much delighted to invite again Dr. Wei-Min Li for a executive fire chat to discuss, the core theme of this conference, pushing PERC to its limit. Dr. Li, could you please kindly join back? Okay. Are you on? Oh, you are on mute. Can you?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now, can you hear me now?
Yeah, crystal and clear.
All right.
Thank you very
Great.
much. So thank you very much for joining here. Thank you. Okay, so I think I will not waste any further time. So, I really would like to have your expert opinion on a couple of interesting topics, which we kind of collected. So, as the conference title goes, pushing PERC to its limits. So in your opinion, has the industry already pushed PERC into its limit, or do you still see a room for further improvement?
I have to be very cautious to say this is just my own opinion. I think from the efficiency wise, it's very close to limit at this point. But from the cost wise, I think there are still rooms for the PERC manufacturing cost. I think it probably are still going further in such a way that it has to compete with some advantage or some more benefits in terms of overall cost for the PERC cells. So it should be able to compete with the TOPCon or later probably HJT and XBC, what I would say. I think there are still room for that.
Okay. So yes, as you said, really PERC is still the cost leader, cost performance ratio leader in terms of cost performance ratio. So how long you think PERC can sustain this position?
That's also a very good question, and I think that it's hard to say, to predict. It may make a huge mistake. As you know, this PV industry technology changes really fast. It may just turn overnight. But I think my wish is to see the higher efficiency technologies coming to the market sooner rather than later. Of course, from the technology-wise. From market-wise, if everyone are shifting to the higher efficiency, for example, TOPCon, that may affect the PERC market. I think if PERC market, it doesn't manage well the cost and efficiency ratios. I can say that currently, probably you already know that currently we are working very hard on TOPCon, and we see the cost is coming down fast with improvement on the yield, on the efficiency, and this actually almost all the PERC tools can be used for TOPCon. Of course, one important message here is that the TOPCon has to have ALD to assist this technology, and where the low cost is quite critical, and we do see that these are coming very fast.
Okay. So, ITR PV thinks that PERC share will decrease in the coming years, gradually to almost down to 35% by 2031. So do you agree with this? I mean, you are also looking at various projections and you have your own internal assessment.
Yeah, I worked in some members who made this ITR PV. I think that that chart gives a quite precise, gives a quite a good outlook on where PERC going to end, which I tend to hope follow such a trend with the ITR PV roadmap. That's very clear each year what is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, equipment plays a vital role in cost. As a leading equipment vendor, do you see some potential to reduce the equipment capex and opex for PERC?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Just in the beginning of your question, I think even though PERC efficiency-wise, it's may close to its limit, but I do see that if there is a market demand, this equipment-wise, definitely, as far as my part, to say that we definitely are working on the lowest cost equipment to supply to the market to meet PERC market demand. That's for sure. It's not only, I would say it's not only equipment alone, it's also you have to add the facility, for example, exhaust management and environmental protections and all these things add together, power consumptions. These are, it's a big project, and this is also why we are actually working on the what we call it smart AEP ALD enabled PERC. That is a big. I think there is a spot. It's kind of like a sponge. There's a lot of things to squeeze when you introduce some smart management to the PERC lines.
Okay, so where do you think it has the potential ultimately to go down? So from today's level, can it go by 10 to 15% in the coming 2 years, or even more? In terms of capex.
Yes, I think that when you look at how this ALD, this throughput development becomes, even though presumably the tool price is not changing very much or even increase, but throughput from this less than 5,000 to 20,000, it's 4 times increase in 5 years with our products. I think 10% is definitely can be achieved.
No. Okay, so you know, then how important is the PERC capex in today's PERC LCOE calculation for a leading manufacturer and also a new player?
I think so. If I catch what you mean, I think that for the PERC production, current technologies, I think it favors new players come in terms of capex and investment. That's clear. That's clear. So I think very much encourage the. We are also very interested in the new market areas, especially in South Asia, Southeast Asia, actually even Europe. I think that I have discussed with some customers. These are advantages.
Okay. So, you know, is there any optimization potential left on materials? And so we heard a little bit from the silver-based supplier like Fusion, but, you know, in your opinion, do you still see something there?
Yes, I think that even though previously I mentioned that the PERC from efficiency-wise, it may reach a limit, but I think if you still gain 0.1, 0.2%, there are still opportunities to do that because of material-wise, not only reduce the cost, but also slightly improve the efficiency. I think that's possible. And I can say that we are currently even working on some new material apart from aluminum oxide. There are some new material not to bring too much cost, but what we see for the Perk cell overall performance in terms of efficiency and stability, reliability, there are rooms to introduce new material, new technology for the improvement without increase the cost.
Oh, okay. So, do you see any small changes that can be brought onto the PType platform to continue the Perk legacy?
Oh yes, I think previously the previous speaker mentioned about this PType. I would say currently majority of the market share is PType, and even when we work on the TopCon, I think when you have some inversion, there are some new technology people are working pretty hard, include Leadmicro on the PType substrate. That's I believe this P-type substrate will have significant market share. Will maintain its significant market share as well, not only N-type fast growth.
So do you still see like something like Polo from ISFH, for example, can come into the mainstream?
For Polo specifically, it's difficult for me to comment, but I think that there is definitely technology route to have a P-type based new cell structures coming to play. In fact, I can say that we are working on such kind of development together with our customers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one final question, as a leading equipment maker, if you look into the crystal ball, so what would be the significant developments in cell segment in a decade time?
That is the most hardest questions I ever encountered because I'm not able to, I'm not a wizard. I cannot predict that one in 10 years. But in my presentation, I showed one very important slide, which is also basically Leadmicro's technology roadmap. I put there, if you remember, there are different cell structures, colorful picture, and what we are looking at or what we are working on at the moment with our research team is that we are looking at the tandem cells with the base cell. Everyone is working on the silicon-based base cells, and we are, yes, I think that at least Leadmicro is working on R&D on the tandem cell technology related equipment processes as well as the cell technology.
Okay. So Dr. Li, thank you very much for this very valuable insights and your opinions. Thanks a lot for making this conference very fruitful.
Yeah, thank you.
Now,
thank you.
Okay, thank you.